Hi, everybody. My name is Madeleine Parker, and I am primarily an astrologer, but I also have a history of having worked as a psychic channel medium. And I'm going to talk a little bit today about some of the information that I received when I channeled a young girl who passed in our community, and she was a very special child. So everybody was very upset about it. So I went into meditation, I connected with my guides, and I found out quite a bit of information about reincarnation, about the soul, about the levels of progression that the soul takes towards purification. I learned a lot about what we're doing here, why we're here, which is to increase the divine light power within us each, to become more enlightened, to become more light powered. And the soul goes through several levels of development, or shall we say, progress towards pure light empowerment, where the soul becomes dominant in the light. It's pretty mathematical, actually. It's kind of scientific. It's the soul starts out with, if we're looking at a 10 from 1 to 10, the soul begins at a level 1, where it is 0 skills. It is through living multiple lives that we develop our skills. So the homeless people, not all homeless people are level 1s, but I have done a video already on level 1 and 2, which you can find in my list of videos here. But right now I'm going to talk about level 3 and 4. And the level 3s and 4s are, of course, interesting as all levels are, but every level is a reaction of the life previously lived. So the level 3 life is a reaction to the level 2 life. And eventually, after the level 2 life, which is fraught with crime and violence and physical body hardship a lot, finally the soul is very much done with the life of violence and crime, and wants to find power. The soul is always seeking power. It's the most empowered energy field it can be in. And so up until the soul is a level 5, it is seeking the power through the material. And after 5, the soul wakes up and seeks power through the ethereal, through the light. So at a level 3, 4, the soul is very much seeking empowerment through mastering the physical realm, through becoming a successful, shall we say, in the community, kind of like a politician. Um, they love, again, the badge and the recognition of the social status, a social position. Often they seek positions in religious situations or institutions where they have a very high, they can land in a very authoritarian position. They love to have badges. They feel very empowered by a label, by a political position. Now, not all politicians and not all spiritual leaders are level 3 souls, but they are attracted to those positions for those reasons. They feel very empowered in a shall we say, authoritarian position. Now, every level that the soul is in, for instance, if it's a level 3 soul, it has 70% dark and 30% light. So the 3 level soul is very much operating, seeking more light in its soul body, but through an experience of feeling very empowered. Now we can say that that's not spiritual, or that these are darker souls, but the soul progression has to experience power in the material before it can, everything has to be experienced in the material before it can make the adjustment in the ethereal, because the soul grows from attachment to the material into the ethereal plane through the experience of hardship from being attached to the material. So it's part of the process. So it's okay for the soul to become, younger souls tend to be extremely materialistic. It's not bad to be materialistic. Some people in their astrology charts are supposed to be here in this life and create material stability. It is not bad to have material possessions and value them. But a younger soul will feel very much in their power through it. They will show their love through material gifts. They have a very hard time radiating love, joy, love energy, because they vibrate at a 70% darker level. So they shine. The 30% light that they shine is, shall we say, they express it through generosity, through giving material. My mother was very much a level 3 soul. She had a very lot of possessions, really materialistic, very much fear-based attached to it. And then how did she show her love to us? She would relinquish some of these material possessions to us very hesitantly. Anyway, so you'll find level 3s oftentimes at the end of their life they fall from grace, because there is a high degree level of darkness in them that they are very much masquerading. They don't show it to people. They put on, most younger souls will try to hide the level of darkness. They subconsciously know that they hold darkness, but quite a bit of darkness compared to other people, but they don't, there's a shame connected to it. And this is something that the soul goes through, where it processes the shame of being slightly in the dark, which is not bad, because it is the process of the divine to come down here and purify the darkness within the divine soul, because the darkness will eventually build in the light entity of the divine, so it drops that darkness down. And again, I explained this in my earlier video. So what we're going to be seeing with the level 3s, now they're often politicians, they can be police officers, they tend to love a badge, they love, but not, again, you get very many high levels in these positions too. So we don't want to just be like all politicians are young souls. That's not the case. But for instance, my mother was not a politician or a clergy person, but she married one. She loved the status that being married to, and my dad is a higher level. And so she was very much attracted to the position that it brought her to be married to a diplomat. My father was a diplomat. So they are hardworking, very hardworking. In fact, the divine really holds the younger souls with a lot of love, a lot of respect, in fact, asks that we have more compassion to the younger souls, because the higher level souls have it easier. They really do. The younger souls are struggling very much. It is very difficult. People don't realize that. They tend to sort of judge them for being younger souls, when really we're not seeing the struggling that they're doing to pull out of the darkness. The younger souls, even the level 2s, are working very hard to pull out of the dominant dark state that they're in. It is not an easy thing to be a young soul at all. So I feel very directed to show compassion to the younger struggling souls. And then the higher level souls, the channelers and people, the spirit, the number 5 souls, which is what I am. I'm a 5 soul. They tend to be the ones that pull. They tend to be people who are devoted to spiritual work, because it's a transition. It's when the soul transitions from predominantly in the dark to being predominantly in the light. So when the soul makes that it's in the in between point, which is where I am. But I'll go more into that level 5s in the next video. And I'm going to go into 4s in this videos too. But when you're level 5, you transition to predominantly being in the light. You are in the in-between phase, which means you usually devote your life to spiritualism or some sort of, shall we say, endeavor that is focused around tremendous spiritual growth, or to integrate the spiritual lesson that the level 5 soul discovers in the transformation. That's the transformation life. So anyway, so the level 5 soul will how do we say, nudge along the higher level souls, because they get very complacent, because they're at a higher frequency. So they resonate at a very high level of light, that they tend to have things come to them more easily. They have more powers of attraction. They have more skills. So life is a lot easier for the higher levels. Doesn't mean it's completely easy. So your younger souls, so the 5 levels in between, are nudging along, waking up, kind of getting the older souls to kind of get on their feet and get going and progress a little bit, and the humanity. And then they help the younger souls. The 5s will pull up the younger souls into the light as much as we can. So the younger souls are working very hard to find the light. They really are. So what happens towards the end of the level 3 soul is that they usually discover that the truth of the level of the darkness that they are becomes, shall we say, revealed towards the end of their life, and they can no longer maintain that facade or that illusion of because they'll usually do something that is counter like sexual abuse or a crime or something, because there's a darkness level in the three soul here's something that's really important about level three souls to know, or any darker level, is they really want to escape that dark feeling. So they have a real need for escapist, shall we say, not necessarily moralistically healthy ways. So they need mitigation from the dark in ways that are perpetuate the dark for them. And so they usually fall from grace at the end of their life. And so then when they're going into the four life, one thing they notice is that the soul now subconsciously is aware of the fact that crime they couldn't force their way into having what they wanted. They couldn't use crime or their will or their entitlement, and they couldn't use power of control in society to empower themselves to the level that they wanted to feel empowered. The soul wants to feel empowered and able to manifest. So then they get to the level four soul, and they denounce the authority path, the money. You'll see a lot of threes are very blingy. Young threes to high twos, young threes are very blingy. Like they wear lots of gold, lots of jewelry. It's very, very, very show off their money. They want to show that they've manifested, that they're materializing on this plane. And then when you get to the four level, so you'll see a 3-4 are going to be very blingy. The four level is the performance. So what the level three sees is the attention and the accolades and the money that the level fours get. And the level fours are your famous musicians, performers, actors, artists. So the soul wants to then seek a way of materializing that is no longer subject to authority. So they're very attracted to the arts. So the soul then begins to explore performing. Now, not all artists and musicians and actors are darker souls, but the ones that are very much, what happens is the soul really turns to the arts and expression to heal the darkness. So they really pull in a lot of light into their soul body through expressing through the arts. So it is not a bad thing. But you'll find, like Jim Morrison would have been a dark level 4. He would have been really processing some deep emotional disturbances, some darkness in his soul through the arts. And when you do that, it heals other people. It actually, that's why it's so good. That's why these are your best musicians, your best artists, because they're really pulling from the darkest pain in their soul and they're healing it. They're pulling it into the light, because remember, the younger souls are very much in shame about their dark. Well, your level 4s are no longer in shame about their dark. They can no longer really just hide it. So they turn it into, they face it. This is the level where they face their darkness. And they actually really, I would say it is very much, the healthiest thing to do with that darkness. And then in that creative process, when they're healing their darkness, they then heal others. That is the music and the work and the acting that people really heal from watching or engaging in. So the level 4s explore their powers in their soul through healing, in finding light, through expression, through the arts. Now, not all souls are artists and musicians, because you're developing your skills. This is when the soul starts to differentiate its skill. But your higher level souls are going to have a talent. They're going to have like I'm a 5 level soul, but I have a really strong dancing ability. So in my 4 level life, I was a dancer. I was a ballerina. I could do ballet right when I was born. It was so easy for me. So we have so that would have been, throughout my lives, as I go into the level 8s and 7s and stuff, I'll probably come back as a ballerina. I'll probably be developing that skill to its max. But your 6 level artists and musicians are people like Bon Jovi, or they're very, because your 6 is very high vibrational. It's very lifting it's very, shall we say, anthemy, like very much more in the light. It's not about necessarily the pain of the person that they're expressing, but I'll go into that later. Because basically we're developing a skill level to reach our 6th level soul life. We are very high service. It is the life of grandest purpose service. So all the lives before that, you're developing your skills to the life of grandest purpose, which I have not had yet. And I can usually tell when I'm talking to people if they've had their life of grandest purpose or if they have not. I have not yet. I'm building to that point. I'm a very typical level 5-6 transition soul. So, so your four levels towards the end of their life, they are discovering that the soul does not, what happens, they usually take their art skill to its highest level of, like, for instance, Madonna would be a very typical level 4, high level 4, transitioning to a level 5. So what you're going to see is they cannot stay in the light after the performance. They're going to take their art and their skill to the highest level, but when the stage lights are down and all the people are gone, they're going to drop back into that level, a darker level, because when they're on the stage performing, they're experiencing so much exaltation and so much light that they escape the truth of the level of the darkness of their soul. So then when they come off the stage, or the performance is over, or they can no longer perform at the end of their lives, they discover a tremendous amount of darkness in their soul, and it's really heavy, and it's sort of like they're running from that, and it's not, it doesn't feel good. Let's put it that way. So so then they start to explore spiritualism, because the soul has explored all the artificial means of the light and none of them have worked. So now the soul steps into exploring a spiritual path. So that's why you often see these really sort of highly successful musicians that are, you know, very devoted, completely life thrown into their work and their art, turn to a spiritual pursuit. And because they've discovered that no matter how talented they are, how good a performance they are, how many tickets they sell, how many, all the sort of accolades that come with the 4 performance life still leaves them in a relatively amount of dark. And so they want to, gosh, it's so funny how my light is flashing in and out here. So that is your level 4, 3, and 4. And the struggle and the pain of the darkness for the level 4 is alleviated through the arts. And they then seek, that's when the soul will seek a true transition into predominantly being in the light, when it starts seeking light from the divine, in a spiritual alignment, to align spiritually, consciously, and spiritually with the higher realm rather than the material realm. And that is your high level 4 and 5. And I will come back and tell you more about level 5s and 6. So please give me a like and do ask questions, because this is a topic I love to talk about. And if you would like a reading, or to know what level soul you are and would like to go deeper in on this for you and your loved ones and your children, it's very good to know. I have a level 4 soul, performer soul, and I have a 7 souls child. So it comes with a lot of interesting things. When you understand the soul level of your child, it can really help. And by the way, most 3s will not find sort of spiritual assistance, but 4s, 5s, 6s, and 7s, and some 8s. So most people that are going to be wondering, you're going to be in that middle, we're mostly middle level souls. But your level 8s and your 9s have an already really strong, stable spiritual connection that's not even conscious. And so they tend to not seek as much spiritual assistance, but sometimes they do. I recognize high level 9s when I see one. So all right, thanks for watching. Give me a like, and namaste.